Good morning, paranormal community, and thank you for partaking in this very special episode of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Anthony Hernandez. Good day, Anthony. How's it going?
It is going. It's so far a very good day.
I can hear it in your voice.
I'm trying to up the excitement there. So
Mission accomplished, my friend. Anyway, but we're both in good moods. We're both excited for the show, so I'm not even going to dilly daddle on anything besides this because I want to bring in our very important guest, and we only have one. So we were supposed to have two, but as James put it, Hunter screwed up. So he is not here today, but friend of the show, been my friend for many years now. He's a 32nd degree Freemason. Please welcome Mr. James Wallin. Hello, James. How are you?
I'm good. How's it going, sir?
Excellent. We need to get into this, so I'm not even going to be like, I'm not even going to let Anthony answer your question. We're just gonna we're gonna hop into it. Besides, we already heard how he's doing. But before we get into probably one of our two main topics, which is the George Washington Valley Forge vision, I usually like to let people kind of explain why anyone should listen to you about anything that deals with like Freemasonry and stuff like that. So, kind of, how long have you been a Mason now? And kind of how has that journey for you kind of been?
It's been 14 or 16 years. It was a whirlwind in the first year or so, just because you're going through all the different degrees and so forth. Like I said, the first 3 degrees are the most important degrees that you need to go through. And once you're through there, you have the ability to kind of branch off into more specified degrees. And I chose to go into the Scottish Rite and become that 32nd degree that way. Other people become Shriners. I'm not sure if people realize it, but like Shriners Hospital, to become a Shriner, you have to be a Freemason. So the guys with the crazy hats and stuff like that, that's a Freemason right there. So a lot of people think the Shriners do great work, and then on the flip side, they're like, "Oh, Freemasons, oh, they're horrible," and they don't realize that they're talking about the same person. But it's definitely a whirlwind at first. I did become master of my lodge in 2018, if I recall correctly, and that's a lot of hard work because you're in charge of the lodge, not just putting the meetings together, but trying to help bring everybody in. You're trying to keep everything moving forward. I will say, though, it's a lot of fun. And my mentor, Tim, he told me early on, you get what you give, meaning if you put in a lot, you're going to get a lot. If you put in a little, you're going to get a little. And I put in a lot. I haven't been quite as active as I would like to be. I've been working a lot lately, so I just haven't been able to get into lodge as much. I'm in a different lodge just because I moved cities, and it was not feasible for me to keep driving back to Savage. I live in Cottage Grove now, so I go to the St. Paul Park Lodge. It's called Newport Lodge. I believe it was in Newport way back when, and it moved into St. Paul Park. Just never changed the name. I don't know. But yeah, Freemasonry is a lot of fun.
So there are a lot of 32nd degree Masons. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely.
But there are not a lot of 33 degree Masons.
That is
that
correct.
So what do you have to do? Because I'm assuming, because we were talking before the show about the compartmentalizing of
Yep.
like the different areas and the quote unquote secrets that you have access to based on your level. So I mean, what do you have to do, or kind of what is opened to you by becoming a 33-degree Mason?
I don't know necessarily what is opened to you, other than you get a cooler hat. Um, so the Scottish Rite, they're flat caps. They kind of remind me of, I don't know if you guys are this old. I am.
Believe
Um,
me, Anthony is.
you remember like in the 50s, which I wasn't around for that, but when you see movies from the 50s and the guy at the movie theater is taking tickets, he's wearing that little tiny flat hat, or like the bellhops, they're wearing like that little
Mhm.
tiny flat hat that kind of
Yep.
looks like that. So they get a different hat, and it's kind of a little more prestige. And I mean that in a way of a very good friend of mine. His name is Terrence, actually recently became one. And the reason he became one is because he deserved it. He puts in so much time for the craft, not just for Scottish Rite, which he does a ton for the Scottish Rite. He also does so much for Freemasonry in Minnesota and also abroad. He's just one of those people that lives and breathes Freemasonry. And the reason that he's become that 33rd degree is he deserves it. And that's basically how it works. You don't necessarily, like a Boy Scout where well, I want to get this badge and it gives you the criteria. This is what I have to do to get that badge. That's not how it works to become a 33rd degree. It's literally your your want, and by showing it, by partaking, by helping, by doing the going the extra mile. Um, that's how you become a 33rd degree Mason. What do you get from it other than the hat? Like I said, just that prestige. You get a little more say in the way that things kind of move, um, and you're also privy to knowing sooner who's going to win the Super Bowl.
Excellent.
I'm just
So,
kidding about
are you? Are you though?
it. We
Wink,
can get
wink,
into the
nudge,
whole
nudge.
NFL thing. I'll get into that. That has nothing to do with Freemasonry, but yeah, we can get into
If
that.
there's time, but um, before we get into this, because obviously we're going to talk about George Washington, who, by all accounts, was a Freemason. I guess technically he would still be in in,
Yep.
in your ranks, but
Yep.
um, you mentioned it before about the like how people applaud and admire the Shriners, and then they turn around and they hear the word Freemason and they think of like the Illuminati, and you're some secret society hell bent on rigging the bowl and stuff like that. So I mean, in general, what do the Freemasons stand for, and what do they do for like the community, for themselves, for everyone around them, just to kind of get rid of the stigma that you're
Sure.
hell bent on you know conquering the world, and that you're secretly rigging the Super Bowl and stuff like that.
um, I can guarantee you that I don't know anything about the Super Bowl. If I did, I'd be a lot more well off. The the biggest thing for a Freemason, as I've explained before, is to take a good man and make him better. And it's something, can any man become a Freemason? Nope. There's plenty of times that we will turn somebody away because we feel like this is just isn't a good fit. Are you going to be taking this seriously? Are you going to try? Are you going to contribute? Are you, and not just contribute, but in a way that will benefit beyond Freemasonry? Um, when I became a Freemason, me personally, I thought that my life was just fine, and I became a Freemason. I was like, man, I just feel like I've got a little more to give to the world, to just be a better person. And it kind of gave me that focus to move in that direction. And when it comes to the lodge, like we definitely want to help the lodge move in a positive direction. And I don't mean like making money, but trying to, one, keep the lodge alive. It's kind of a struggle right now. Things have changed where people don't necessarily want to meet in person. And that's the way lodge works, is that we're in person, we're in a room together, we're talking together, we're face to face. And we just have definitely kind of moved away from that. So Freemasonry is definitely trying to adapt. And I think that's something that's kind of cool about Freemasonry, is throughout the years, it's had to adapt to this, that, and the other thing, no matter what. It's constantly, because society is changing, no matter what. The other thing too is, for society, we do so much as far as one of the great examples is, a couple of years ago, my lodge actually dedicated it's kind of like a fire grenade to the fire department that I work at. And I think within like a month or maybe 2 months had gone by, and we had a call in the city that a house was on fire, and a sheriff's deputy had that fire grenade and literally sat there and read the directions real quick at the front door, sat there, did this, that, opened the front door, threw it in, closed it, and heard this big boom. And then the fire suppressed for a good amount of time until we got there. And Freemasonry helped with that. Freemasonry helped to purchase those fire grenades. I'm not exactly sure what they're called, I'm sorry. But helped to purchase that and help to get them out to the first responders that would need them. Like my chief has one in his truck. Obviously, he's going to get there a lot quicker than a fire engine would. The sheriff's deputies, I believe the police officers in my city also have them. Just that way to help try to save, if anybody's in there, we're buying precious seconds. And that's what Freemasonry is always trying to do, trying to improve society by, hey, this is a great thing that we can give back to our society. People that are in need, how can we try to help you? Are we looking to just do free handouts? No, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to improve you as well. But that, I mean, I could keep going and going and going what Freemasonry is, but Freemasonry to me is definitely something that, when I first got into it, I was very excited. And now I'm not just excited, it's part of who I am as a person. And I love to say that I'm a Freemason. When people are like, oh, you're part of the devil, it's like, I get it. You're saying that you know this much about this much, but in reality, you know this much about this much. And it never offends me anymore. It is what it is. People are going to have their opinions.
Yes, indeed. All right. So we want to talk about this whole George Washington Valley Forge vision, which, of course, Anthony did a crap ton of research. There's even an hour-long show added to his Crossroads of the Veil about it. So I'm going to let you, Mr. Hernandez, tell everybody what exactly we are talking about, because I'm sure, like me, we had never heard of this before until, a week or two ago. Except what?
I have a question. How much is a crap ton?
A lot. like so much, even Gmail won't hold it all.
Oh man.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, he's going to tell you all about it.
Okay, so I started. I was waiting for you to finish, but so I started looking at I get requests for certain things, and one of them is always the Chris Bledsoe stuff. So I was looking for things that could tie back to the phenomena surrounding him, And in doing so, I kind of got somehow I got onto the Valley Forge vision and the similarities that were there with some of the occurrences and stuff like that. And then when I started digging into it, of course, on at least the surface and the very beginning of it, it definitely sounds out there, and you start digging into the facts, and the facts start not lining up the way that they should if it was a factual or a true telling of what happened. So, and dug a little deeper into it and saw more about George Washington, which, even though I consider myself a history buff, I didn't know some of the things that were attributed to George Washington, and I knew he was a Freemason. I didn't really know what exactly part that played in that stuff, but along doing the research for it, the writer was credited, or at least was rumored to be a member of the Freemasons, and possibly this didn't come from the vision the way he told it, but could have been from something to do with Freemasonry. But in everything that I researched, I was not able to find either his pseudonym or his real name tied back to the Masons in any way, shape, or form. But it was it's an awesome story, and it kind of even starts aligning with the state of how things are today, towards the end of the tail of the vision, at least to me. With the chaos and stuff like that going on. Sorry. So in Valley Forge, in the middle of Valley Forge, when everything is pretty much going to crap, he goes to his lodge, or to his cabin, to have time for himself, and he is in thought and praying, and someone comes in there behind him, and he turns to see it, and he's kind of, for lack of a better term, he's paralyzed, because he can't move, he can't react. He asks, "Who are you? Why are you here?" And then he, at least in the story part of it, just goes to reach for his saber, and kind of is, at that point, he can't move. He's kind of stuck in a spot, and it's a beautiful woman, blonde hair, stars, a crown of stars above her head, and light, and she starts telling him to look and listen, and calls him the son of the Republic, which at that point in time really wouldn't have been anything, because there was no Republic at that point in time. Takes him up out of he basically describes the walls of the place falling away or disappearing, and going up and looking, what he did, or at least to me what it describes, is him looking down at the earth, and it laid out, and she shows him the visions of three perils that basically, if he will make this pact with her, or this thing with her, that he will win in Valley Forge. He'll go forward. It'll create the Union, and it will basically, they'll be on his side from there out. And there will come a time in the third peril that basically everybody in the world, or at least a majority of the world, turns against America. We, at least as far as the vision goes, get knocked down, but it doesn't put us out. We rise back up from it with their help and persevere.
So my question to you first, because we all know who George Washington is, yes. In fact, it's probably even like common knowledge that he was a Freemason, along with, if you watch National Treasure, who, George Washington and, the other guys. But James, what is he to you guys? Like, from the Freemasons' perspective, even to this day, like, what is the opinion, the kind of general consensus of who George Washington is to you?
George Washington is kind of that spokesperson of Freemasonry, where whether you like him or not, that's what he is. he was a natural leader. He was, if I recall correctly, like 6'2" or 6'3". I mean, very tall. You go
Yes.
back in history, and what was the average height at the time? Probably, I would guess, what we'll say 1772, and we'll just take a shot. And I would, without googling it, I would guess probably 5'7", 5'8". So I mean, he was massive. Yep. Compared to everybody else. So naturally, psychologically, people always kind of gravitate towards that taller person to lead. It's just one of those things. Why we do that, I don't know. Just they stick out that way. George Washington was also very firm in his beliefs as a Christian, which I'm not promoting religion or anything like that. And he was also firm in his beliefs as a Freemason. He definitely tried to steer our country, our wonderful country, into a direction that Freemasonry kind of follows that principle of that brotherly love, where if one person thinks this, one person thinks this, it's okay to do that, but you still need to be able to come together and try to find that common ground. And that's what Freemasonry is. And I definitely feel that Brother Washington embodied that. That's my opinion. You could ask 15 other Freemasons and you might get 17 other answers.
Boy, if only Hunter
some of the I was going to say, in some of the stories when I was looking into him, I mean, he definitely seems to have been protected, chosen, lucky. I don't know what you want to call it, but like there were several instances where people after like he would be the only one left standing for certain battles. His horses like would get shot. People around him would get shot. There's stories about him coming out of battles with holes in his jacket and his clothes and his hat. There's several adversaries that later on, once it was said and done, said that one Indian chief pointed out he told his braves specifically to target him and take him down, and no matter what they did, they couldn't hit him. They never could get him down. Yet everyone around him fell. So I mean, there seems to be something to that.
I would completely agree with you on that. That there was some kind of divine protection. It boggles my mind. I've also read that as well, that how many horses he had shot out from underneath him. And not only that, I don't know about you guys, but I get that, riding a horse back then was just an everyday thing. Like you and I get into our car, that's just an everyday thing. But I would still think that being on a horse and having it shot out from underneath you would be terrifying. And I've also read that he would get up and keep going, and I'd be terrified. I don't think that I would react the same way that he did. I'm not trying to glorify the man, but I think the majority of people probably would, at the very least, pause for a second and try to see if they had any, new marks in their shorts before they even thought about doing anything else. I completely agree with you that there seems to be some sort of divine protection around that man.
And yet, with Anthony's story, and I'm half with you, half with the both of you, because we kind of talked about this before, but you don't think that vision actually happened.
I don't. And Anthony, I'm sorry, man.
No.
When I dug more, when Mike, when you told me about this, and I was like, okay, I want to read more about this, and I really enjoyed reading the actual event of supposedly what George had experienced, and I found it interesting, and I tried to look at some of the wording and everything. Republic also stuck out to me because it just didn't exist yet. Were we the United States yet? I don't know if that was necessarily around. I do believe that it had been written on document prior to that event, or at least saying that, prior to Valley Forge, I believe, if I recall correctly. But some of the other things, and I've actually got them down here because I was like, okay, I've got to start writing this down or I'll never remember this. But one of the big things was the person that shared this story with the author was a soldier whose name was Anthony Sherman. And Anthony Sherman definitely did fight. He drew a pension and everything else. The problem that I have is that the story was shared with the author after Anthony Sherman died. The other problem that I have is Anthony Sherman never served, at least on paper, with General George Washington. He served, if I recall correctly, General Benedict Arnold, also a Freemason, by the way. So how does it happen that he saw and then George told him this? I don't understand that part. The other thing too, that I'm not trying to sit there and blow the ship out of the water here, but the author is just a pseudonym for Charles Wesley Alexander. And Charles Wesley Alexander was a fictional writer and wrote a ton of fiction, never wrote anything factual that I could come across at the very least. Again, we're trying to dig backwards, and I'll fully admit that I'm doing everything right there on the keyboard. Am I going to libraries or anything else? No. And not only that, I wouldn't even know which library to go to, because obviously there wouldn't be anything here in Minnesota that I could go to and get physical evidence. But I'm going off of what other people have seen, saw, and put into the Google database and everything. And just what I'm seeing, I just can't come across it. If Anthony Sherman, the person that shared this story with Wesley Bradshaw, that was the name of the author, and supposedly he shares this story on July 4th, by the way, in 1859. So, but we've already know that Anthony Sherman is dead. He died before this.
1840.
Correct. The other thing is, had he been alive, he would have been 99. How many people made it past 60 in that time frame? We just didn't have the proper nutrition, medical health. I mean, jeepers. God forbid you get bitten by a mosquito. It's a death sentence. I mean, it's just, it's amazing that how far medicine has come. But I just have a hard time with this, Anthony. I'm so sorry.
No. The facts, like I said, the facts, if you look at it just from the factual point of view, there's definitely there's issues with it. And it definitely does not align with the story that he wrote and when he wrote it. Cause he was definitely known for the fabrications and stuff like that. But back in the day, for whatever reason, the newspapers, it was an acceptable practice to kind of fabricate or tell some tall tales as long as it was enjoyable by the people.
Well, sure. I mean, he was an author, and that's how he made his money. So I completely get that. And it's sensational. The other thing is, wow, I mean, this guy, 99 years old, says, hey, it's July 4th. I'm going to tell you this really amazing story, and it's completely true. And only George told me. George told only me. I want to believe it. And yes, I completely agree with you that there was something about George Washington, as he was fighting for this great nation, he was protected somehow or another. He was protected.
Definitely.
Just it's amazing that he should have died a bazillion times and he never did. If I were him, I would have played the Powerball for sure. But
if only that existed at that time.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he didn't do too bad. He was doing okay. I mean, Mount Vernon was a pretty good place.
So let me ask you guys this. This is for either one of you. is the story that was told to this author, is that the very first time that this story had been written down?
Yeah, 1859 was the first time I think it had ever been put in any sort of publication or written down or anything like that.
So, from
Now,
what I understand, hold on. From what I understand, in 1777, with this supposedly, like, especially if you're General Washington or one of his higher ups, you write a lot of letters to a lot of different people. And those letters are, probably not all of them, since it's been, three, I don't want to do the math, but anyway, it's been a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
And some of those letters still exist. So, I mean, if he's got to write a letter to somebody about this instance. He's got to tell somebody. I mean, he's just been told by, let's just say, for all the sake of argument, the Sophia, the feminine divine, that they're going to win the war, and he keeps that to himself. Like, that doesn't seem even remotely possible.
He definitely didn't share it with any of the people. None of his friends or correspondence, or there's no letters, there's no mention of it, there's nothing like that.
The other thing that I'd like to bring up too is that Anthony Sherman in 1777, and again we're looking at records from here, would have been 17 years old. Would he have been fighting? Absolutely. That was fighting age back then. Absolutely. Here's another issue that I have. Why would a 17-year-old be around General George Washington? He just wouldn't have been. The only thing he would have been doing would be bringing his food or taking his plates or whatever. He would not have been like a trusted confidant or anything like that. I mean, General Washington had plenty of friends and people that he respected. They respected him. I just don't see this 17-year-old being this prodigy. And I'm not trying to put Anthony Sherman down. I think the author of this publication kind of drew a name out of a hat, and maybe it just sounded cool. Like, oh man, I really love the name Sherman. Look, right there at the top of the list, Anthony for Sherman's. Who knows? I just I agree with you, Michael, that I don't know why he wouldn't have shared this. And there's nothing in history that says on this date, General Washington was right here, and then all of a sudden he's like, we are going to sit there and kick the holy crap out of them. We got this. George Washington was straight all the way through. He was a very stoic person. That's recorded time and time again. I mean, look at his portrait. I don't think he even cracked a smile. Not even a smirk. And I get that he had probably a hard time with his teeth, but not even a smirk. I mean, come on, you could at least nothing. I mean, the guy was even keel all the time.
I don't get it. Plus, and Anthony knows this because we've talked about. You mentioned Chris Bledsoe earlier. I'm fairly certain you don't know who that is, James.
I don't.
Well, he's another person who has said that he's been visited, and he's alive now. This is a now thing, a present day thing. But he also has been visited by the quote unquote lady, and I'm very skeptical of that. I know Anthony is not, and that's fine. But the thing that always gets me, and this is in general, so you can give your opinion on this, and Anthony, is you as well. I hate how cryptic they always are. Like, it's like you're going to go through a third peril or a second peril, and we're not really going to tell you anything about it. My question is, if this story was real, why would she feel a need to tell George Washington about the second or third peril when he's not going to be alive for them, without telling him, you need to get this story out? Like, by all accounts, he didn't say a word to anybody except this one person. So what did her coming to him even do until the 1800s, when, this 17-year-old boy, now 99, suddenly tells a story to an author?
Well, that's where you start getting into. So, like I said, on the surface, you can dismiss it because the evidence definitely doesn't line up. But you start digging into it, and you start getting into rumors and stuff like that. There are the rumors that the author was somehow tied to the Freemasons, and that there's speculation that, okay, Washington didn't say this to this other person, and that's not how they heard it, but he did relay this in a lodge or in some sort of meeting. And that could have been part of the Freemasons thing. And then you look at like the founding of Washington and stuff like that, and it was very ritualistic. It was a Freemason ritual when they laid the cornerstone for Washington. They laid it out for the star pattern Virgo. You start seeing some things that kind of could make that possible, improbable, but possible. And then you start getting into the modern accounts and stories of stuff like that. And you go even further, and you go back to the stories of the appearance of a sacred female type person appearing to people. And the stories kind of match. Now, I wish I could say that, yeah, 100%, here's the letter that he wrote to this person or that person, or in this lodge meeting note or something like that. Here's the where they talked about that particular thing. But that, I mean, it unfortunately doesn't exist. And I did point that out when I'm talking about it, that there are some factual issues that don't stand up to it. It's easy to dismiss as just a fabrication. But like I said, you start looking at some of the more in-depth look at it, and there are definitely aspects of Mason type rituals into it. And you could definitely tell me if I'm wrong on that, James. But there's just some things that kind of fit that puzzle piece. Now, is it wishful thinking, or is it that I couldn't tell you?
Help me out, because I'm not following you with when you're saying, what is it that you're saying that are fitting like the Masonic side? What, help me out.
The creation of Columbia and stuff like that, that was, at least from what I saw, was part of, I guess, a belief back then when they were wanting their own, this United States to have their own kind of mythology and stuff like that. And they worked to bring that up, and then it kind of got forgotten or put aside, at least in mainstream views as far as that goes. But I mean, the story and stuff has been retold in World War II and in stuff like that, even continued on from back then.
Sure. So let me first start by saying I feel like, well, that was kind of weird.
I think we lost him.
Bye. When it comes to telling the future, I feel like humans are horrible at it. I don't. Oh, hi again. I don't. I would never say that humans are unable to do that. I can't think of his name offhand, but I want to say he was in the 40s, and he even predicted like we would find Atlantis, and we ended up finding the Bimini Road or something like that. I can't think of the gentleman's name.
Casey, Edward Casey.
That's him. Yep. You look at his stuff, and you're like, wow, he was fairly, for the most part, specific. And that's where a lot of I have problems with, when it's not specific, when it's really vague, kind of like Michael, you were saying. It was just like, okay, so what is this peril? You're not really telling me exactly. There's invaders. What invaders? Are we talking, the Germans? What are we talking about here? Are we talking about aliens? Who knows? But we as humans are horrible at it. And I've had deja vu. I mean, I think we've all had that, where you're just kind of doing something like, whoa, I've done that before. And you remember it precisely. So I do feel that there's definitely some weird loop or some other universe touches or brushes where we're at. space-time continuum, and it kind of brushed or crossed just for a few seconds. But when it comes to the District of Columbia in the way that it's laid out, oh, you can't deny it. There's absolutely no denying the way that things are set up. I mean, if you do a little bit of research into it, and I know some people are like, oh, it was done for evil purposes. What freaking evil purpose was there? I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, they put some thought into this, and they were like, hey, do you think anybody's going to figure it out? I kind of guess that is what it would be. Because of the fact I've never seen any documentation that we're going to put, Washington, D.C. is going to be laid out this way because of Freemasonry. I've never seen any documentation for that. And these people that were trying to put our country together, the majority of them were Freemasons. And like I said, Freemasonry gave me a great sense of direction. And it's not trying to bring, like the three of us, I'm not trying to bring you two into what I'm doing. It's if you want to come and sit down, and if you want to have a discussion, and if you want to kind of work towards the same goal, and the goal typically is, lodge moving forward or whatever, or how can we help out our community with, I don't know, food or whatever it may be. That's what Freemasonry is. Again, we're trying to just have that ability to sit down together, to be together. And I don't know if I brought it up on the show here, but when a Freemason walks into lodge, it is strictly forbidden to talk about religion or politics. It is absolutely forbidden. You cannot talk about that. And if you do, congratulations, you are no longer a Freemason. You'll be warned, obviously. Sometimes people just kind of forget it. We're human. We make mistakes. Hey, brother, you need to bring that back in. Check yourself with that. And the thing about Masonry is we're trying to make it so that there's nobody above anybody else. And that's exactly what politics and religion will do. I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat, I'm better than you. So get rid of that, and let's bring it right back down to here and be on the level. And to me, that's the beauty of Freemasonry.
So it's camaraderie, not control.
Correct. Yeah, it's not control at all. I mean, the master of the lodge is basically just the person running the lodge. Does his word go? Yes, but it can also be countered. There's checks and balances. Our country is really, if you kind of start to drill into it, kind of based off of Freemasonry, the way things are set up. You've got the master of the lodge, you have your senior warden, your junior warden, and then you have officers underneath them as well. And if you look at our government, that's exactly how we're built. Can I tell you that's exactly, we're built exactly that way because of Freemasonry? No, but it certainly logically would point that way, in my opinion. And again, my opinion.
Well, that's why I brought you on. Think your opinion matters.
I think the problem that Freemasons have is that y'all get thrown into the box of secret societies, and some of the secret societies are legitimately not good, whereas people don't take the time to understand.
I can tell you this, at my old lodge, I found it hilarious. A brother who he was a past master, meaning he had been master of the lodge at one point, and we were having a discussion to raise our yearly dues by $5, and we were in chaos in that meeting. And he kind of paused the meeting and said, "Do you realize people think that we are in control of the world and we can't even figure out $5 a year?" I mean, it was hilarious. It was a great point, because again, we had all these differing views and everything else. And by the way, I was against the $5, and the $5 went through anyways. But that's the beauty of Freemasonry, is that's how it worked out. And was I bitter about it? No, it was $5. But his point was, we're people too. And on your point, Anthony, yeah, absolutely. We do get thrown into that bucket, and again, I kind of laugh at it because people make that decision on this much information that they have, where somebody told them this, who told them this, who told them this. Therefore, that's the opinion, and that's what is fact. When here's all the information, and you have literally this much, if even. That's on you, not me.
Unfortunately, like Freemasonry just seems to be in a battle of ideas and rumors. Like, you know what it is because obviously you're a part of it. But in this day and age, that's not enough. Like, if it seems to me, and I don't know if you have encountered this when you talk to people about Freemasonry that aren't brothers, that it's hard for people to change their views once they have one. And I've had it where I've tried to make a point, I've got facts to back me up, and the person I'm talking to believes the complete opposite and has no facts at all, but doesn't want to hear mine because they don't fall into the way they want to see the world. So, I mean, do you get that in your I mean, we're kind of getting off George Washington now, but
sure,
that's okay. That's okay because it's an important question.
I have a great example.
Okay.
When I had found out that I was being accepted into my lodge way back when, I was really excited about it. I became interested in Freemasonry when I was a kid. I was doing a book report on the Titanic, and it was talking about the different fatalities. And this person, or there was a group of people that were listed as Freemasons, including the postmaster of the ship. And I didn't know what a Freemason was, and did research into it. And I've always been interested in that after that. And when I learned that I was becoming a Freemason, I told my father-in-law, his name is Perry, pardon me, and his response was, not coughing, but his response was, "Oh my God, you're joining a cult." And it killed me. I really, look up to my father-in-law. He's a great man. I love the man. And it just killed me. It actually broke my heart and everything. And I just kind of let it go. He didn't say a lot more about it. He was there when I celebrated, like, hey, I've become a Freemason and so forth. And then when he met the people and saw the things that I was doing, he became a Freemason. These people are great. This is a great organization. It has nothing to do with religion whatsoever. The one component of religion is you have to believe in something bigger than you. I'm a Christian, again, not trying to bring religion into it, but that's my I believe in something bigger than me. And to your point, Michael, you can't just say, hey, this is actually what it is. People have to kind of experience it. That was years, I think, before Perry became a Freemason himself, which, by the way, he became a Shriner. But I just, like I said, to your point, you can't just, well, here are facts. It's going to be, nope, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You're just saying that because that's what you're supposed to say, or you're just trying to stick up for them. That's what a Freemason would say. The old saying, "Are you a spy?" No, I'm not a spy. Well, that's what a spy would say. You can't change anybody's mind in an instant. And if you can, man, teach me how to do it, because I'm not looking to change their mind. All I'm trying to do is give them that proper information that this is what we're trying to do. Are we successful at it? I think we are. Are we 100% successful at it? No, because we're people. That's Freemasonry in a nutshell, as far as that part goes.
So Anthony, do you have anything on the George Washington vision that we haven't covered?
So I'm taking it you read the full text for the vision and everything, right? James?
I did, yes. And another thing too I've noted was that the second and third peril were actually switched in later publications, like they were flip-flopped. Why?
Yeah.
If George said it went 1, 2, 3, why are we going 1, 3, 2?
Yeah.
I don't understand. But yes, I absolutely did. It was that's like I was saying earlier. We as humans are horrible at predicting the future. And I mean, that kind of read like Nostradamus, where you're like, what is he talking about, man? Of course, after the fact, you can say, this is what it is. Well, you can always point it out after the fact, but that's not predicting the future then, is it? Because you don't really recognize it until after the fact, is what I'm saying.
And there's some people that make some really broad leaps to get some of those prophecies to fit the narrative. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you.
Well, that's been popping in my head this entire conversation, is our show on the prophecy of the popes, and how we talked about how they were so vague that, and then they changed it. They're like, oh no, we were mistaken about this little part, but now it fits.
Yeah.
So I mean, and now, and I didn't know this because Anthony, this wasn't part of your show, but they flip-flopped 2 of them. So the third peril became the second peril.
Well, later on, yeah, when they reprinted it, because they reprinted it for World War II. They've reprinted it several times. It's I mean, for a while, I guess people really liked the story, and it was because it was America and full speed ahead and all that stuff, patriotism and all that in there. So it was really a popular. I mean, it is a good story for that, but there's like he said, the evidence. When you dig into the evidence side of it, if you don't just take everyone's word for or someone's word for it, and you do your due diligence, you look into the story, it kind of you start seeing the holes, and there's some rather big holes that are there. Like I said, the first thing I saw was he died. Anthony Sherman died in 40. Story didn't come out till 59. Like, I can't imagine he sat on that story for that length of time if it happened to be that particular. If he did hear it from Anthony Sherman, and then he would have been 90, 99. So like I just haven't met someone that is going to be Stephen King when they're 99 years old. That's not typically how that works.
So here's my question.
As far as storytelling,
to you both then. So it's, what'd you say, 1859? That the year? Did I say that right?
59 is, yeah, that's when it came 59. Out.
So the Civil War hasn't happened yet. Am I correct on that? Or it's just happening?
Just kicking off, or just getting ready to kick off.
So Abraham Lincoln is not a known person by this time. And so, like, the one inspirational figure that we have is George Washington, because everybody can agree that he was this great leader. He obviously had a lot of luck on his side. If we don't want to do this, divine influence or protection or whatever. So, I mean, and now it's being changed over the years to fit whatever narrative they want. Do you think this story was thought up specifically to give people that patriotic type feeling, and that we're protected because we're America, we're protected?
Propaganda.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say propaganda, but yes. Do you think that it was patriotic propaganda to say we were protected in the Revolutionary War? Look at that, we won. We were on the brink of defeat, but we came back and won. Now the Civil War is kicking off. Maybe we should write a story that this is part of that. We're going to win again, and we're always going to win because we're protected by this divine entity. Like, do you think that could? I was trying not to say that because I refuse to say that, but yes, but pretty much yes. In this day and age, it would be America.
It definitely fits the war propaganda really well. And I mean, when they reprinted it, it was war propaganda because it was World War II when we were in the trenches, and this was inspiration to, like, we're chosen, we're going to get through this. There's nothing that can defeat us. And I mean, it definitely is a great story as far as that from that aspect alone. So, I mean, it just, when he wrote the story, there's definitely things that I think he writes about, and I know he was a fiction writer, but there's some things that he writes about that seem out of his wheelhouse, or like maybe it just came to him. Maybe I don't know. It just, there's some things that don't really fit the time frame from when he was writing it. So I don't know. There's, like I said, there were things that made me question it and made me wonder if there was more to it. And when you start digging into the Freemasonry aspect, there's things that you could see that could correspond, or at least kind of fit there, even though may or may not have. And like I said, you bring the story forward and you take the story back, and there's definitely, it fits with and that could have been where he got his inspiration was from previous tales of meeting the Sophia and where they got that from.
So Freemasonry probably had nothing to do with the story regardless. It was just the fact that it was about one of the greatest men so at that point in time in history who was also a Freemason.
I would say Freemasonry is just, in this particular instance, again, my opinion, coincidental. Washington, Freemason, the author, I believe, Freemason. I'm not trying to put this whole thing down, but yeah, I think it was kind of a war propaganda thing that, hey, we're gonna kick butt, we're gonna come through this, and we're gonna be even better for it. Don't worry about it.
I keep going back to it. I know it had nothing to do with the letters because they didn't exist at the time, but the idea of it from the movie The Scorpion King. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie with The Rock. Anthony, have you? James, I know you have because I see you smiling because you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I mean, but one of the main plot lines was that this witch or whatever sorceress, which was by the king's side, predicted every battle. We are going to win.
Oh.
And then of course, you know, she had sex with The Rock, justifiably so, and she lost her powers. But it was the troops need to believe. The troops need to hear her say, "We are going to win." Otherwise, they would.
That's actually pretty historical, though, because I mean, they've always had advisors and stuff like that. The prophets, sure. The druids. I mean, throughout time, there's always been someone there to say that our side's going to win. We're destined for this thing. This is, of course, when they proved wrong, they usually got executed for it. But you know,
yeah. Well, I just think people need to believe. I mean, again, not shitting anybody's religion, but people, as James said, need to believe in something higher than themselves. People can respect me all they want, but if we're going into battle and I'm like, we're going to be okay, like you're probably going to be like, does he really know what he's talking about? But if I say, hey, I got visited by the feminine divine, and here's the whole story about that, all of a sudden my words take more heed. Like maybe like it's not about him, he's the messenger, and we are going to be okay, we are going to win this. So yeah, I'm going to say, because I want to move on to Oak Island really quick, well, sorry, I do, but and we're right at an hour, so overtime, just like the gold medal win by the USA today. But I lost where I was going with this because I had to throw out the truth to the hockey team. But
anyway, prophecies are kind of a tricky thing.
Yes, they
definitely
are. But
definitely.
So are all three of us in agreement that it probably did not happen? Or I know you are, James.
I was going to say
I'm mostly looking at Anthony.
I'm fairly certain it was made up, but is it a really cool story? Do parts of it fit and stuff like that nowadays? And but it's an awesome story. I give him props for the story alone. but yeah, was it made up? Yeah, it was probably war propaganda, and that's probably what it was.
Sweet. Well, you heard it here, people. One of the biggest. We've finally ruined something else. It's been a long time.
Next case.
Next case. Let's ruin the curse of Oak Island.
Oh boy.
So, I think if people listen to this show, they're either friends of you, James, but they're still in the realm of this is like something they're interested in. So you know what the curse of Oak Island is.
Yep.
The big treasure that's up in Nova Scotia that the Lagina brothers are trying to unearth and have been for like over 10 years now. Every year they find something new, they find something different, and the show goes on. But they don't find any treasure. Or, they find signs of treasure.
Little nuggets.
So, since like season 3, something like that, where they found, this little cross right here, in the thing, and they found more and more and more evidence. Like every year, they find more and more evidence that the Freemasons were somehow involved in this. And so, I mean, has there ever been any conversations, any books, any mentions in anything that you have done in the last 14 years for the Freemasons about Oak Island?
So I said something similar to this earlier, and you could ask 5 Freemasons what they think about Oak Island, and you're going to have 23 different opinions. I definitely have an opinion. I believe that something at the very least was there. Is it still there? Well, I don't know. Keep digging, guys. I mean, like I said, I'd love to just strip mine the whole place and just let's get to the bottom of it, literally. It frustrates me too when Canada's like, we got to preserve this. It's like, no, okay, keep going. But I agree with that. You don't want to just destroy history. One thing that I definitely do want to point out is I loathe the narrator on that show. You could make that show 10 times better just by hitting the mute button when he's on. Oh my gosh, that guy just drives me bonkers. But I firmly believe that, yes, something was there or is there. Oak Island did something. I mean, the indigenous tribe there, their flag is the upside down symbol, if I recall correctly. Do you know what I'm talking about, Anthony?
It's related to the Templars.
That's right.
Yeah, it's related to the Templar Knights if you look at it. So, yeah.
How
I was going to say they just picked that symbol out of the blue. Yeah, and well, the cross itself is, I would say, definitely a Templar artifact. And how did it get there? Now it's only the first one that they found, but I don't know why anybody would have been carrying around a lead cross that was highly tied to the Knights Templars.
Sure, and I mean, I can totally see that was probably on a piece of string or leather, and darn well it just wore off. That leather, we'll say it was leather, it just wore off and it fell, and that's why it's there. But who was wearing it? Well, I mean, that's not just a regular cross. That was a very specific cross that I've really enjoyed, that they've gone to other places in the world and they're like, look, there's the cross on the wall, the exact same cross. You can't deny that. Again, I'm taking everything at face value. Did they really find that cross on the island? I'm taking that at face value that yes, they did. And this isn't like Real Housewives of Miami or whatever. And they're okay, today we're going to find a cross and you guys are, I'm taking everything at face value that yes, this is truly happening. I'm hopeful that this is legit. But everything just points that something was or is there. My question is, what is the treasure? Treasure can mean so many different things. I mean, is it a ton of gold, or is it manuscripts? I mean, one man's treasure and this man's treasure, it could be two totally different things. And that's what I'm really curious to find out. I really do want to find that out totally.
So my take on the whole treasure that's there, because like I know there's stories, everything from the Ark of the Covenant to Shakespeare's manuscripts to I don't know what else could be there besides piles of gold and stuff like that. I know at least scientifically, the metallurgical water tests that they've done show that there's high concentrate of gold and silver down there.
Yeah.
Like,
why?
Regardless of what anyone says, and the fact that you have people that say that it's been removed. If it was removed, those levels would not be present.
Agreed.
There's got to be something there to pop those numbers.
Yep, I agree with you on that. I kind of want to throw a curveball here too, but where do you guys sit with William Shakespeare actually being William Shakespeare?
That's an interest. I don't know if Mike's aware of it, but that's an interesting story. The fact that it could be a bunch of people that basically used him as a pseudonym or him as a cover to write their stuff and not get in trouble for it at the time. It's cool. I haven't dug into it, but it's a cool thought.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm going to add to that is I don't care if it was one man. I don't care if it's a pseudonym. Or if it was multiple people trying to write their truths. Whoever used the name Shakespeare, regardless of who was using it, sucks at writing. So, like that, William Shakespeare seems to be the garbage dump for bad authors. Like, if you want to write something that sucks, you use the name William Shakespeare.
So Hamlet and all that other stuff's not your cup of tea then?
Garbage. I don't get me wrong, I like the stories. The stories are fine. The writing is terrible.
Well, it's because that's when it was, but yeah.
Because it honestly, if I had written trash like that, I would bury it 90 feet under the ground too. in hopes that it never gets found. Like I would booby trap it to the max to keep people away from it.
So why would you leave so many clues?
So here I asked you this question last time, because the last time you were on the show a few years ago, we also talked about Oak Island, and it's still going on. But I had asked you if they wanted the people who buried it originally, did they want it found or did they want it buried forever? And you had said buried forever. Like they didn't want it found. And so I asked you that exact same question. If that's the case, why are there so many clues?
I agree that I don't think that they wanted it to be found by certain people. I think they wanted it to be found by certain people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like,
yes,
not by you, not by me, but by them, whoever them is. It was meant to stay that way, possibly for eternity, and that's what I mean by that. I don't know. Real quick, a side note, I do want to say hi to Picnic Poodle Pal. She's listening right now, and she's somebody that I work with, so I'm saying hi to her.
I was going to say, I mean, no disrespect. That sounds like a name that you would find associated with a sex swing.
Oh my. No.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I don't know.
All right.
She's kind of a crazy lady. I don't know. She could be. I don't know.
No
I use a garage door opener in my bedroom. I mean, that's what I use. You hit the button. Woo!
Okay. We're going off track here.
I am the one that derailed it.
I really did.
Not with a Craftsman garage door opener. Those always stay on track.
Unlike this conversation. Okay. So, let's get back into it. Hi, by the way. Let's just leave it at that. So you were saying, I hope
that I do feel that they wanted it to be found. Maybe it needed to be the right people, and do those right people exist anymore? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy to me how so many new maps are being found where they're like a drawing, and it's like, God, that is Oak Island. That's literally Oak Island, and here it is in this letter to so and so. Kind of like Anthony, you were talking about. People were writing letters all the time. That's how they communicated. And it blows my mind. There was at the very least something there, but do those people exist anymore? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think in the last show, Michael, we talked about like coconut fibers. What the hell are coconut fibers doing in there? Ooh. And not only that, like not like a little handful, like all over the place when they're digging in the right area. It just shouldn't exist.
Well, it's a filter. Okay. They used it as a filter material. Well, so yeah,
absolutely.
But it had to be brought in. It had to be brought in. It's not indigenous to that island. So here's my question, because let's just say, for the sake of argument, the Freemasons had a lot to do with this, whether they orchestrated it, whether they organized it. I mean, they were the first bank in the entire world, in history. They had their hands into everything. And the Freemasons are all about brotherhood, about people coming together for the betterment of humanity. And so as you look at the Oak Island crew, you have the Laginas from Michigan, then you have the researchers from Canada. You have an Italian researcher that's now on the show. Do you think that this was made up, as you were talking about, like for the right people, that the only way that for this to be found is by bringing people together throughout the entire world? Like, you would need almost every culture, that existed at that time. I mean, obviously not everything that exists now existed then, so they would have to know the future. But we have Middle East people involved. We have the Vikings involved. We have the Freemasons involved. Like, we have the Rome involved. We keep getting all of these cultures. So do you think in order to find it, we need to bring in all of these cultures and work on the puzzle together?
I think that's definitely a possibility. But what I was trying to explain was I wonder if the Knights Templar made it so that not those men, but those Knights Templar would be the people that would be able to retrieve this. What I'm trying to say is, do those people still exist? I don't think so. As we've discussed, I mean, society changes, society moves. We've progressed. Look at our technology. That's what I was wondering. I don't know that for a fact. None of us do. Maybe. I don't know. I sure don't. Again, if I did, I'd be a lot richer. But I think what you're saying, Michael, has a great valid point. Yeah. I mean, they obviously, the Templars obviously made friends with the indigenous people that were there, obviously, as we were just talking about, Anthony, a few moments ago with the flag. So they were branching out. Did they branch out of brotherly love? Did they branch out of necessity? I don't know. It would be so awesome to be able to take a time machine, be invisible, and go back there and kind of watch everything happen. It would just be amazing to me. But yeah, I am a firm believer that Oak Island did something, or is something. I just don't know which. Is it present or past? I don't know. And again, what is treasure?
Yeah, see, I do think it was a depository for, at the very least, gold and silver. I think it was placed there for a specific group of people to be able to access that treasure. And it was put there so that any other people who tried to access that treasure would set off the booby traps and make it, at least for back then, impossible to retrieve, because there were no diving suits and stuff like that back then. So if you flooded it, you got to know how to turn that off and get that water back out of there.
Yep. And it's amazing to me. And how many times have we seen this? And again, not trying to branch off, but how many times have we seen where you come across pieces of history that we can't duplicate today with our technology? Lasers. We have lasers and we can't duplicate that? What? How? Why?
I was going to say, they still haven't figured out Greek fire, and they're barely figuring out how Roman concrete works now. So,
oh yeah, I mean, they're still using some of those aqueducts. They're still using them. That blows my mind. But again, we can't do that now. I mean, that blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
I'm not going to say that it was aliens, but it was aliens. So that's why we can't duplicate it yet, because the military already has it and has had it for centuries, and they won't let us have it. So, I guess final question. So it has been brought up by, like the Grandmaster, Anthony.
Timothy Hogan. Yeah.
Now,
Timothy Hogan says.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, no, Timothy Hogan says that it was that, and he is a Knights, he's the Grandmaster for the Knights Templar group, which is not, I believe, associated with the Freemasons. I think it's a totally outside group. But he says that it was a Templar Knight vault, and it was removed in 1765 before. So all the stuff that they're doing right now is pointless because it's just scraps and stuff like that. But if, like I said, referring to the metallurgical tests in the water and stuff like that, if that's their trash, I mean, I would take it, because there's literally, they've estimated it as several dump trucks full of gold and silver down there to give the results that it gives.
Several dump trucks? Come on.
No, that's what they're estimating it. They're estimating it as there is a ton of gold and silver down there. So if all the Ark of the Covenant's gone and whatever, there's still gold and silver down there, plenty. Otherwise, the water test wouldn't come out.
I totally agree with you on that, Anthony. I mean, if that's the garbage that's left, I'll take a handful of that. My gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, for those water tests, and again, I'm taking this show at face value, and it's not the Real Housewives of, I think I said Miami or whatever.
You said Miami.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a scripted show. I don't know this for a fact. I mean, I'm not there, but I am taking this at face value. I mean, because Oak Island has been around forever. I remember reading about that when I was a kid as well. Like, oh wow, that's kind of a cool place. Well before the Laginas had even touched the place. There was a lot of talk and speculation and everything else. I mean, FDR was working on the island for quite some time. Well, I don't know, quite some time, but for at least a period of time, looking for treasure. There's got to be something. And like you said, Anthony, if it's the trash, I'll take a handful of it. Sure.
The only thing that I can let's say, for the sake of argument, that the treasure is real and is there, like it hasn't been moved.
Yep.
Then I just think they're just digging in the wrong place. I think if all of the clues lead to the money pit, then it's someplace else on the island.
I agree with you on that. And this whole new thing with the boulder, you guys, have you been following? Okay, so you guys know what I'm talking about. I keep up with it. The boulder is, again, The archaeologists like, whoa, we got to it's a boulder, just lift it up, let's go. It's just a boulder. What are we preserving here? Like, I don't think that there were any carvings on the boulder or anything like that. But
no, that's all Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. But that to me is super interesting. Is this where we're headed now? Is this the direction? Like, is the boulder protecting the treasure? But Michael, I would totally agree with you that is the money pit just that? It's a money pit. We're just throwing money down a pit, and actually X marks the spot 1,000 yards that way. I mean, it makes me wonder. And again, I say just put a big seawall around the whole place and strip mine because I want to know. I really want to know.
Well, I got the solution. It just popped in my head. My guys are telling me that this is the way it needs to be. Somebody needs to suggest it to Trump that we need to annex Oak Island and make that the 51st state instead of Greenland. And then Trump can have the treasure.
I will say for anyone who thinks that it's a scripted show, the cost of the drilling and stuff alone, it totally would make that show a money pit for whoever studio is deciding to make that thing.
I've always wondered how the heck they afford that. I know that they've got a vineyard, a winery.
Yeah.
But
well, they own a construction company, so I mean they have money that way. But they always talk about investors. Like at the start of the show, they're like, "Here's what we can do based on what we have from our investors." So there's people who are bankrolling this, and I don't know who is because they never talk about it. So I mean, there are people who are interested. I'm just wondering what their cut is going to be because obviously they're going to get a cut of this treasure.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you that there's people on the backside of this that are somehow helping that along because there's just no way. I mean, these guys are not Bill Gates or anything like that, where I'm not putting them down in any way, shape, or form, but I don't see them personally having this or enough money to be doing this. Because Anthony, you're absolutely right. I mean, those huge caissons that they're putting down, that ain't cheap. And I can't even imagine how much it would cost to go 20 feet with one of those things. I probably wouldn't be able to afford that over 5 years.
Neither of us.
Let alone all the holes that they're dealing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're being bankrolled either by the production company or in their own money, or there are millionaires and maybe even billionaires who are in the background. We're silent partners, but here's what we want in return. We will bankroll whatever you need to do.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that I've pointed out to people is, if it is gold and silver down there, and it is that much of that gold and silver down there, some of the silver coins and stuff that they found are worth thousands of dollars for one. So imagine pulling all those out of there that happen to be the same type.
Hold on. You think one coin, silver, pure silver coin from 200 some years ago, right? But you think that's only going to be worth a couple $1,000s?
No, I'm saying that the coins that they found so far, there have been some that have been thousands of dollars by themselves. Mm-hmm. So if we're imagining one coin is worth several $1,000s, imagine the pile that's down there potentially waiting to be found.
Oh, sure.
We're talking billions.
Absolutely, because you're not just talking about the actual coin as far as like from a shipwreck. We'll say, a shipwrecked coin. The coin itself is worth, $10. It's because of what it's associated with. And now you're talking about Oak Island. Oh, my question, though, is who owns that coin? Who owns that coin? Is it going to be the Laginas and their investors? But is it going to be them? Is it going to be all Canada? Who's going to own that coin? Because I guarantee Canada is going to be like, whoa. Hold on. Hold on.
I definitely see some legal issues once they start pulling stuff out, or at least significant stuff.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
I would assume they wouldn't have even started this unless they already had that figured out. Like we're now in the 10th season and they haven't been like, well, if we take this out, are we going to be able to keep it? Like they're way too smart and organized for that. I would assume some sort of salvage rights has been negotiated already before they got their
Canada gets a percentage, I think, of it. I don't remember what the percentage was that I read, but as far as them having all that stuff worked out, they were trying to follow a path on, I forget what season now it was, but because it had Native American and artifacts on it, they made them stop stop excavating there. So I mean, there's still some people in Canada that are not all for what they're doing there.
Yeah, but that's that way with anything, because again, you're going to have, you can't please everybody no matter what. You just can't. And yeah, yeah. Yep.
And if you ask me, historically, the stuff that they found and they've dated there rewrites history. And just, I don't know how it hasn't been a bigger deal than it is, but it just totally rewrites history. There were people here way before they thought they were ever going to be here. And that somehow has gotten shuffled to the background.
How can you not sit there and look at this and say, we're not teaching correct history right now? I completely agree with you on that. And that's just being logical. That's not an opinion or anything like that. We can date this stuff. We are dating this stuff. And we're showing that these were not just indigenous people at this time frame. These were Europeans at this time frame. But according to our history, that doesn't exist. I don't like that.
No,
I don't like that.
Aliens. Maybe
aliens.
Maybe that's what those lights were, because remember, that's what brought the original people to them, as they saw all those lights in the forest that led them to that place where they started to dig. So maybe the aliens were teleporting the treasure up from underneath the ground, and they took it far away.
So one of the really cool theories that they had for how the Templars and stuff got over here was, obviously the Vikings had an establishment farther away, but they have found proof that Vikings may have landed on Oak Island as well. Well, they also pointed out the fact that, Vikings were still around when the Crusades and stuff were happening. And because some of the Vikings were actually converting to Christianism, they joined some of the Knights Templars and stuff like that and shared with them the secrets to sailing over here and stuff like that. So I would love if they explored more of that stuff and more of those aspects. Like I said, historically, it upends what everyone is being taught as far as history goes, and it's just not right.
I totally agree. I like, another great person to look at is Leif Erikson. I mean, I firmly believe he made it over here. I firmly believe that. Do I have proof? No, I don't. I can't go up to you like you were talking about, Michael. I have the proof. Look at it. No, I don't want to believe it. I don't have proof. What I have is I've made a really educated guess where I've done my own research. I've read about all these different things. We know for a fact he was on Greenland. I'm sorry, Greenland or Iceland. I can't remember. I think it was Greenland, actually, but we know for a fact he was there. It's not that far for him to keep going. And not only that, to get to Greenland or Iceland, holy hellish sailing. I wouldn't want to be in a small boat to get, not there. Absolutely not. No way. Well, they had no problem doing it.
I was going to say, if you look at it, there's an island outcrop north of Oak Island that's a confirmed Viking settlement and stuff like that. And it's not really far from Oak Island either. So
no, it's got longhouses on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you dispute that? And again, like you said, we're not teaching proper history. We're not.
I just want to interrupt this with my own joke, in that you were talking about how Holy God, the sailing and everything. You wouldn't want to be in that small boat. And the first thing that came to mind, he goes, well, maybe he's the guy that wrote Romeo and Juliet. Maybe that's what he did during the cruise when he was, drinking his own piss.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. I will never let it go ever.
This took a turn.
I mean, a turn for the better, I might add.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas, but it's incredible when they're showing that they've taken him and they're now trying to get back to the mainland to go help. And they're in this storm and he's like, shouldn't we be closer to the land? And they're like, oh no, you don't want to be close to the land in a storm like this. And they're just hanging onto the ropes and having a good time and everything. And those people were just bonkers and crazy. And those were the people to do it. But I also know too that the Knights Templar, they were accomplished sailors. I mean, that's a flat fact. And where did all those ships go when they went and killed? Why can't I think of his name? The leader,
the Grand Master back then. I can't remember his name right now, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah, because all the ships they never took inventory of their ships. The ships fled.
Yeah, they were gone the next morning. Poof, gone. Where'd they go? Poof, gone. And then all of a sudden, you've got a central banking system and an incredible army pops up out of nowhere in Europe. Where did that just come from? Where did that come from? These people were peasants, they were farmers, and now all of a sudden they're a force to be reckoned with, and they're the central bank of the world all of a sudden? How did that happen? Amazing to me. Yeah.
Maybe they had a vision.
It could have, yeah. Jacques de Molay.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on that note, I think we're good on those two topics. But James, before we go, if anybody who's listening to the show is interested in looking up anything on becoming a Freemason, the rituals and just information in general, where's the best place for them to go?
So obviously, as a podcast, you can listen to this worldwide. If you're in the United States, I would search your state. So obviously, the Minnesota Grand Lodge. We don't here in the United States. We don't have one person that we all answer to. Each state has one person. So there's not somebody that's in control of the whole country or anything. But you'd look up Minnesota Grand Lodge, for example. If you were in a different country, I don't know how to exactly search it. I do know that some places it's not exactly kosher. Freemasonry is still heavily looked down upon. I mean, not trying to get into a tangent, but look at World War II. Freemasons were taken as political prisoners, and they actually had a different badge on their uniform. So, absolutely, I encourage any man to become a Freemason. If a woman is interested in Freemasonry, there's the Order of the Eastern Star, which is part of Freemasonry as well. There's plenty of different ways to research that, and also you can get in touch with Michael, and Michael can get in touch with me, and we can talk as well.
We can do that. Perfect. Well, James, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Always exciting to talk about that and anal probing and stuff like that.
We didn't talk about that, but I guess that's a topic for another. I said sex swing. There's nothing anal about it. So that's all on you, my friend.
He just saw the direction it was going.
Giggity?
But believe me, that was not the direction it was going. But okay, I'm going to end it now. The show anyway, not yet. But anyways, like I said, thank you for coming on. Always a pleasure. anything Freemason, you're the first person I think of and go to. So, and you've always been a wealth of knowledge about that type of stuff. So I really appreciate it. Anthony, I'll be back next week with another brand new episode. We have Jim Myers, who is the founder and operator of the Sasquatch Outpost in a museum out in Colorado. Really looking forward to having him on. He's recently been in a documentary about Bigfoot and what it actually is. So really looking forward to talking with him. So stay tuned for that next week. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here.